Hello and welcome to another episode of Global Healthcare Archives. For those of you who caught last week's episode on COVID-19, mutations and vaccinations, welcome back. And for those who didn't, don't fret, just follow the link below. Now this week we're going to tackle an equally pressing, if not more deadly matter, cardiovascular diseases or CVDs. Remarkably, CVDs were and continue to be the number one cause of global mortality. In fact, patients with CVD, the risk of COVID-19 is even deadlier due to potential comorbidity. The pandemic is only adding to the deaths caused by CVD. On the other hand, a fair number of patients who recovered from COVID-19 report long-lasting cardiac damage, painting an even more worrisome picture for CVD in the future. A common misconception is that CVD primarily occurs in those with unhealthy lifestyles, poor diet, liquor abuse, sedentary lifestyle, and such. But as a recent case of Saurav Ganguly has shown, CVDs can impact anyone regardless of the level of fitness or quality of lifestyle. Don't get me wrong, those are definitely substantial factors leading to CVD. But let's not get into specifics of what it is and what causes it and such. Instead, in this video, we're going to take a step further to look at some of the advancements in clinical management of CVDs. Among the many developments, a big move was repurposing existing medication to treat CVDs. For example, drugs used to treat diabetes such as sodium glucose transporter 2 and the inhibitor have been found to help patients with heart failure and also promising results. It's important to note that treating CVD involved the management of three major risk factors, namely increased triglycerides, hyperglycemia, and inflammation. And each factor involved multiple drugs for management and treatment. Naturally, this means the patient must consume a large amount of drugs, which could lead to polypharmacy. Now, that in itself is a growing problem due to the adverse effects associated with each individual drug. A possible solution for this has been created by a pharmaceutical company, Affimmune, which developed an omega-3 fatty acid, epiluton, to address polypharmacy. Currently in phase 2 trials, epiluton is highly purified synthetic version of the fish oil capsules that we've all consumed as kids, which decreases triglycerides, improves glycemic control, and improves markers for inflammation. Now, along with the development in pharmaceutical management of CVD, there's also substantial change in the surgical management. Let's take a look at some of these advances. With a growing number of CVDs, the placement of cardiac stents and pacemakers has become almost routine. A cardiac stent is a thin wire-like tube that is inserted into the blocked artery to prevent it from closing again, thereby preventing another ischemic episode. However, stents increase the risk of thrombus formation or of a vessel rupture. Bioreabsorbable stents that gradually dissolve within a year may help sidestep this problem. The currently available bioreabsorbable stents are rigid and difficult to place within an artery. However, research conducted to develop a flexible option may allow placement of metal stents with this variety. A pacemaker, on the other hand, is a small battery-operated electrical device that is placed in the sternum to regulate irregular heartbeats. Traditional pacemakers consist of leads that deliver electrical impulses to the heart muscle to help maintain normal heartbeat. However, a broken lead can cause a malfunction or infection at the insertion site. A leadless pacemaker, which is a tiny self-contained unit that is placed on the inside wall of the heart through a catheter, is being developed to overcome this issue. Having looked at both the clinical and the surgical management of CVDs, let's talk about some of the technology innovations that are happening in this space. Remote cardiac monitoring has become vital, especially after the pandemic. The constant monitoring of patients who have undergone cardiac surgery and high-risk cardiac outpatients reduces the risk of surprise cardiac episodes. Biotronic home monitoring, developed by Biotronic, aims to replace unnecessary doctor's visit through early detection of cardiac health risks. These devices are equipped with an antenna that connects to a patient's device called CardioMessenger and collects clinical data and sends it to the doctor or healthcare practitioner. Similarly, Latitude Next, an in-home patient monitoring system developed by Boston Scientific, allows a healthcare team to monitor connected devices in between primary care visits. The device sends data from blood pressure monitors, pacemakers, cardiac monitors, weigh scales, and other connected health devices to healthcare practitioners at regularly scheduled times. This allows the remote monitoring of patients who have undergone cardiac surgery without the unnecessary physical and emotional stress involved with hospital visits. Stem cells have been suggested for the potential regeneration of damaged heart muscles. BioCardia, a biotechnology company co-founded by Dr. Simon Serzer, the doctor behind the first coronary balloon angioplasty, is attempting to develop stem cell therapy for the treatment of heart failure. Harvard University and Boston Children's Hospital researchers have come up with a soft robot that fits around the heart and helps it beat. This removes the need for potentially dangerous blood thinner medications. Now that we've had a look at the treatment of CVDs, let's also have a look at what happens next, namely rehabilitation. Cardiac rehabilitation mainly involves adopting a heart-healthy lifestyle to reduce the risk factors for CVDs in the future. This comprises a phased program to reduce stress and to assist the return of an active life. The first phase begins in the hospital itself after the cardiac episode. It mainly consists of counseling and the education on cardiovascular risk factors and the signs and symptoms of a cardiac problem. Patients are then given home exercise guidelines as required. The next outpatient phase is prescribed for 3 to 6 weeks and starts immediately after the discharge from the hospital. This requires visits to the cardiac rehab department of hospitals and includes monitoring of responses to gradually intensifying exercises. If the patient responds well to the first 2 phases, he is then considered ready to operate independently and is then placed in the maintenance program. If you've ever experienced a cardiac event, make sure that you adhere to the cardiac rehab prescribed by your doctor. It's a crucial step to improve your health and quality of life and reduce the need for medicines, decrease the chance you'll go back to a hospital or emergency room, and to prevent further heart problems. So we talked about CVDs and some of the recent innovations and updates that are happening to manage CVDs. But what can you and I do? Remember when I was telling you about Saurav Ganguly at the start of the video? Well, let me have Dr. Devi Shetty share his thoughts on the subject.
Saurav's incident has shaken the world. People think a 48-year-old man, athletic like Saurav, who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, has no vices, is a fit man, how can he ever develop heart attack? This is the true reality of India. The kind of a lifestyle we lead, irrespective of how strict you are with your lifestyle, irrespective of how athletic you are, you can still develop a heart attack if you do not undergo a preventive checkup at regular intervals. If Saurav had a simple test like a CT scan or any of those various scans which can be done in virtually any street of this country, this incidence of heart attack could have been predicted 15 years ahead, 20 years ahead. This is the message every Indian must understand. It doesn't matter how fit you are, unless you have gone through a preventive checkup at least once in a year or once in 2 years, none of us are spared from this episode.
If you've not had a cardiac episode till now, good for you. Let's look at ways to keep that away. Regularly monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and triglyceride levels. Stay at a healthy weight, eat a healthy diet, get regular exercise, limit your alcohol intake, don't smoke, manage your stress, and make sure you get enough sleep. So on that note, thanks for joining us for this episode of Global Healthcare Archives, and I look forward to chatting with you next week.